Welcome back everyone to the Hello World Guy, and this is episode number 6 of the platformer series. And in this video we are going to get started creating a system for our player so that our player can also damage the enemy. Because currently of course the enemy can damage the player, but our player is kind of defenseless, so we are going to add that system. Now in order to do that, the way we are actually going to do that is that the player basically can hit spacebar to fire a fireball, and that fireball kind of goes until it hits the enemy. And if it hits the enemy, then then the enemy gets damaged. It will be kind of like Mario. When you shoot a fireball in Mario, it's kind of like that. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one, so let's get started quickly. So first of all, I would like to what I would like to do is actually change this UI a bit, because currently it looks really bad. So I'm going to do the same thing we did in the first person shooter, and that is going under my canvas and right clicking here, adding in a UI image here, and calling that coins background. And then we are going to go under my coin text, and then I'm going to just copy this component, copy the component, and then go here and hit paste component values. Also, I think to the left. Alright, we couldn't do that anyways. So 0 0, and okay, so for the width I'm going to just choose like 100, and then move it here, then move it down. Width should be 200, I think. Then move it on the X a little bit, move it up on the Y a bit maybe. Yeah, that's all right. And then drag the coin text to be a child of that, and make it complete stretched, and make the coin text black. And then make sure that it is center aligned, and make sure that it has got no padding. And yeah, that's completely centered, and it looks really awesome. You can make it bold if you want, and maybe do change a couple of settings here. You can also turn on auto size if you want, but that makes it a bit too large, so I'm going to just set the size to 40. And yeah, that's awesome. And you can select this point background, actually increase its width just a little bit, and then I'm going to select its source image as the UI sprite image provided by Unity default. And yeah, that kind of gives it nice round corners. Alright, so now that we have got a nice UI, before we actually get to the attacking, let's just add in an animation for when the player gets damaged. So that's actually present in the Sunnyland pack. So if I go under artwork, sprites, player, then hurt, you can see that we got a 2 frame animation. It's going to be really nice to implement that. So yeah, we are going to do that. So in order to actually do that, all we need to do is create a new animation for that and add it to it. For first of course, we want to go Control 6 to open up the animation window. Then I'm going to dock it up there, and then I am going to select my sprite, player sprite, and then I'm going to go here, and you can see 3 animations already here, and I'm going to hit create new clip. Alright, then go under asset slash animation, and I'm going animation slash player, and I'm going to save this as player hurt. Alright, then just go under this project window and then select these two and then add that. And now we have got that. I'm going to just make it a little bit more spaced out. So if I just move this down here, now you can kind of see that it's playing, but of course it's currently way too small, and the reason for that is obvious, that currently the pixels per unit is 100 while we want 8. So if I apply that now, you can see that it's kind of working. Okay, it is working, I guess. I'm not really sure. I'm going to actually duplicate the first frame and add it to the end. So yeah, this is working now, or maybe not. Yeah, that looks better. So anyways, after we have got this done, what I'm going to do is open up the animator window. This is the animator window, and after going under here, this is currently opened up the, okay, not this one. So if I go under animation, then I'm going to player, then I'm going to open up the player animator, and in here you can see we have got these variables here, and I'm going to add in another okay, we can add in another float here, and another bool here called is being hurt. Alright, and after adding that, we can just choose another animation from the adding state. Actually, we can just copy the whole of this and paste it. Not really. I thought, can you copy the transitions? Alright, I don't think you can. So anyways, make a transition. First of all, add in this player heart is already present here, so right click on this and make a transition to that. and then of course add in, make sure that the transition duration is 0, and then add in another and a condition here, if being hurt is true. Now if it is, then we of course move to the hurt animation and now make two transitions, one to the idle and one to the run, and of course this has got no exit time, 0 transition duration. One condition is that if moving is equal to false, and another condition that is being hurt is also equal to false. Anyways, and in here in the second transition, this is kind of getting complicated to handle, so you might want to, you know, make it go there or something. Yeah, that looks better. So anyways, now selecting this this one transition, I'm going to make sure that the duration and exit time is not existing, and make sure that is moving is false, and is being hurt is true. Is being hurt is also false, and is moving is true. All right, so we have got basically a setup here to for, going into the hurt animation and coming out of it. So now we need to program the behavior for our hurt animation so that it actually plays when we get damaged. So I'm going to get in the player script for that, and we are of course going to do it inside of this on damage function. So what we are basically going to do here is, well, of course, use coroutines. So of course, I'm going to go here and add in a private I enumerator, not an enumerable, I enumerator called maybe damage timer or heart timer maybe. This will represent how much we wait for the heart animation, and this is going to be like that, and then this is going to yield return new wait for seconds for one, I guess 1 second, just wait for 1 second, and then not maybe one, that's a bit too much, half a second. All right, so why we are doing this, what I actually do not want the player to be able to move or anything inside while this hard timer is going. So for that, in order to do that, I'm going to go here and add in a private bool called can move, which by default will be true. Okay, so in here in the fixed fh function, you can see we are doing this, all of this, but we are basically doing moving stuff. So if actually let this stay, so this can stay, but when we are setting the velocity, just set if move, if can move, if not can move actually, if we cannot move, then just return and do not do anything. So alright, that should work. So in here we are doing hard timer, and in here we can just say can move is equal to false, and then we can say can move is equal to true again. And before we, and of course in here one more thing we will do is say animator dot set bool, set bool not set bool location, set bool, and for the bool we are going to just for the name is going to be is being hurt, and this is going to be true. Then I'm going to copy this, go under here and paste it, and then make it false. So yeah, this should work. So if I go let it compile, go to Unity, and it's still compiling, just make sure that the names exactly match, including capitalization and everything, or else you will run into problems. So now if I hit play, then this should work. So you can see that I can move, and that's all good. But as soon as the enemy touches me, oh, didn't happen. We are actually not going into that state, seems like. Alright, this is not exactly working, and the reason for that is obvious. We are not even calling that enumerator. So go start coroutine here and heart timer. Okay, that's really nice. So let's compile, and this time this will hopefully work. So yeah, if I hit play now, then you should see that if I go near the enemy, that it plays that animation, and then it okay, it's a bit too large, I think, and we cannot move while it's playing the animation, and then it kind of stops. We are dead now, therefore it's not playing anything, but you can see it was kind of working, but it was a bit too large, and the reason for that is I think that if I go under my Sunnyland artwork right layer folder, in here if I just select another animation like idle, you can see that for that we use 8 pixels per unit, and for hurt we are using, well, we are also using 8 pixels per unit, but it's still a bit large. I guess that's kind of intended. So yeah, this is all nice, and you can see that whenever it touches us now, it displays this animation and we cannot move, and then it kind of works. Yeah, that's working. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. And now we are going to get started adding some adding the actual shooting which that this video is about. Alright, so after this is done, now we are going to actually add this actually add the so in order to do that, what I'm going to do is go under file and then oh no, sorry, it's not file, edit, and then project settings. Now in the input manager, I'm going to change the jump axis a little bit, and for the positive button, I'm actually going to change that to W, so we can jump with W and up, and we can use the space bar to actually fire. So I'm going to change this fire 1 to fire, and instead of left control, let's make it space, and we will leave the mouse 0 also as an option. Now I actually intended a Mario style fireball, as I said in the beginning, but I am thinking that it might be actually better to have a fireball that goes off in a particular direction, much like a gun. So yeah, we are going to actually implement that now. So in order to do this, I am going to just open up my player script here, and I am going to go here, down here, before the public method, and create a private void called fire empty. Currently I'm going to go up here in the update method, and we are going to say if input dot get button fire, and what I'm going to do is actually implement that. So alright, first let's say just if input dot get button fire, then just fire, I guess. Alright, now of course this works, but if I just go ahead and say debug.log uh, fired, just for debugging. If I go under Unity now, you of course should know what the problem is with this, but let me just show you. If I hit play, then what you should see is that if I go here, you can see that it's actually done a lot of time, and if I hold the button for a little while, it's quickly going to go like 450 times or something. So yeah, that's obviously not something that we want. So yeah, the reason is of course that we currently don't have a cooldown, so just create a private I enumerator. We're not using system dot collections right now, so just using system dot collections, and then go down here and enumerator called fire called cooldown, and this is going to set we of course need to create a variable here called alright, I'll just go here and add in a variable, a private bool can shoot is equal to true by default. Alright, so now what we'll do in the update method is basically say and can shoot, and only then we will call that method. And in here what we will do is fire cooldown, not all. Of course that's a problem. First of all, let's set can shoot to false, then let's go yield return new wait for seconds. Now of course for that we will need to have a couple of more variables. So go under here, and I'm going to add in a space here after the UI. Alright, not after the UI, I guess. I'm going to add in another header before the UI saying fire attacking, I guess. Let's call it attacking. And what this will have is a serialized field, a private float called attack delay. That would be the delay of our cooldown between the attacks, which by default is going to be like 0.5s. This is not an automatic weapon or anything, so yeah, 0.75, I guess. Not 75, I'm going to just make it 65. And then another serialized field, a private float called damage, which by default will be 10. Alright, that's all the variables we need right now, I guess. So if I go here, return new wait for seconds, uh, attack delay. Okay, and then after that we can say can shoot is equal to true, and this should work. Of course we need to start the coroutine in our fire function now, which fire cooldown, and yeah, that should work. So let's just test it out. As you can see, I can hit, and then I am firing at a constant rate instead of doing it continuously, for like thousands of times in a single second. It's now a lot more controlled, which is I guess a good thing. So yeah, this is all awesome, and I think it's time to get to adding the actual firing mechanics. Because currently this is just debug.log. Now, in order to actually shoot something, fireballs or something like that, we of course need some graphics for it, which we currently do not have. So for that, we are going to of course use another package. Now for that, you can go under Window and Package Manager and go under My Assets, and I will give you a link to this package in the description, and you can just go to the asset store and add it to your assets. And once you go under My Assets and let it fetch the assets, you should see that you should see this free 2D mega pack asset, which contains around 230 assets actually, a lot of them, and it is like 10 megabytes only, and you can not use it all of it if you want, but I am actually we only want a couple of things actually, so we don't need this example photos or backgrounds or anything, but I think I might actually include everything. Maybe not. Actually, we won't. I think that's a bit too large. Just deselect everything by clicking on this arrow here, and then go down. And in here you should see that we have got effects here, animation, and we have got these a couple of stuff here. So just include that effects folder because that's all we need. It contains this firewall.png file. So just hit import after doing that, and yeah, once that's done, go here and you should see bracket folder here, and if you go under here 2D megapack effects, then you can see we have got this explosion here, and it contains 4 sprites. All right, that basically represents the explosion, but we are looking for the fireball one actually, which contains just 2 sprites. And if I go to the animation folder, you can see it actually contains the fireball animation as well as the fireball animator. So we can just copy these assets, go around animation folder and paste them here. I'm also going to rename this to Opossum. And if I go under the fireball animation, actually let me just drag it in here. I'll have to drag a object. So first of all, right click here, create an empty object and call this fireball. Alright, after doing that, actually not an empty object, a sprite, just make it anything you want and call it fireball, and then change its sprite to be actually the fireball sprite, fireball 0, just make it that, and you can see that's pretty awesome. Yeah, that looks nice I guess, and you can go in the animation folder and just drag this fireball animator to this, and now if I go if I hit Ctrl+6 to open up the animation window and I dock it here, I can select this animation and hit play to play it, and you can see that's what it looks like. So yeah, this is going to be really cool. So yeah, this is going to be our fireball asset, and that's pretty awesome, and we are going to use this to actually shoot it and stuff. So alright, now with that done, we have got our fireball here. We are now of course going to let the player shoot with respect to the direction of the where the mouse is. So that's actually really simple to do, to be honest. All you need to do is first of all you need to create a prefab of this fireball. So you can see I've got my fireball selected here, and just make sure it's at 00 and just drag it in here in the browser, in the project folder, and just create a new folder here called prefabs for it. Just keep things organized and drag our fireball prefab in there. Alright, so with that done, now what we can do is just go under Visual Studio here. We have got our player script, and in here in the attacking section I'm going to add in 2 fields here. This is first is going to be a private transform. This transform is going to be the shoot point, the point where our bullet is spawned. Okay, and then we are going to have another serialize field, a private game object, which is going to be our actual bullet prefab. This is just going to be called bullet. And what we do in here, I have removed the debug.log statement inside of my fire method, and here what we will do is oh, before actually I have changed, I think we can change this a little bit. We don't actually need this fire cooldown as a separate method. You can just rename this to fire. Okay, and what you can do here is instead of calling fire directly, you start coroutine here, do it here directly, and in here we can just, after doing this, we can add our code. So first of all, we will check if our bullet is equal to null, and if that is the case, we will return, or our shoot point is null. We might set it to null if you want to disable the player from actually gliding. Oh, and you cannot use return here because this is a coroutine, so you need to use yield break. After doing that, in here we are going to now of course shoot. So in order to do that, first we can use the instantiate method to create the bullet in the game, and for the original object just use the bullet object, and for the position just use shoot point dot position. Alright, and now we are going to give it a rotation. So what is the rotation going to be? Well, for the rotation, I'm going to create a vector 3 here, called called direction, and for now I just set it to a new vector 3. Just do that, and in here what I can do is say quaternion dot look rotation direction. All right, and this should work. Of course, currently our direction is just now contains 0 0 0, but we will change that. So in order to do this there is actually a little bit of complex mathematics involved here. So the first thing we will do is set this, for starters we will set this to we will use the camera static class dot main, which will give us the main camera, and this has a function called screen to world coordinates. Now we are going to get the mouse's position, which will be in pixels, so we need to convert that to a world point. For that we will use screen to world point, and for the point we will give it input dot mouse position, which gives us the position of the mouse in pixels, as I said before. So yeah, that's basically working. So now we need, of course this is not going to just work, so we need to change a little bit, because currently we are just setting it to the world position, and we are looking at that which won't work at all. So in here, first of all, just set the z of this to 0, because we do not want any 3D rotation here. That will cause us a lot of problems. So make sure that the z is a 0, and after you have done that, what we can do is actually create another vector 3 here, and I'm going to call this the neutral direction. Okay, which is going to be our up direction. You really, I don't know, you really don't need this vector, but just to keep things organized, it's not going to cause that much of a problem. Just copy it into a new vector. Oh, actually, not vector 3 dot up, transform dot up, because we want it to be, because our player is not rotated at all. That shouldn't cause a problem even if we use vector 3 dot up, but we are going to use transform dot up anyways, because the player might be rotated and we want it to be relative to that. Then I'm actually going to create a float here called angle, and I'm just going to set this to a to use a method called vector3 dot find angle. Now you need to give it a from vector, a to vector, and an axis. Now we are basically using this to but the reason we are doing this is to calculate the direction between the mouse's position, the angle in degrees between the mouse position and this position. So for that we will have to use find angle and give it the neutral direction as the start, and then give it the direction as the second argument, and for the axis we can just give it vector 3 dot forward. Now of course this is just an angle, and we actually want a direction vector, so set this vector 3 not actually new vector 3, just set our direction variable to quaternion dot axis angle axis, actually angle axis angle, kind of similar. And for the angle just give it our angle, and for the axis give it vector 3 dot forward, and multiply this whole thing by the neutral we had, transform dot up, and this should actually work. So in the loop rotation function, this is actually our up direction, not the forward direction, and for the loop rotation we actually need to give this as vector 3 dot forward, and then give this as our up direction. So yeah, that should work. So in here what I'm going to do is right click on my player and add in an empty object here called our shoot point, which is going to be the point which we shoot at, as I said before, and then just zoom in, and you can see it's currently placed here. Just move it on the X a bit. I actually want it to come out from the hand, so just move it there, like that. Yeah, that looks pretty awesome. So yeah, after setting that, select the player and go under here, and you can see we've got our shoot point and bullet here. just drag the shoot point in this, and for the bullet, go under prefab and drag the fireball. Alright, so before we test this, just make sure that you have got minus transformed or position here when you calculate your direction, because if you don't, then it won't work, because you know you want because if you subtract one vector from another, it gives you a vector pointing to the first vector, a direction vector essentially. So that's what we want. So if I hit play at this point, then you should see that if I just click, a bullet spawns and it's facing exactly where my mouse is. Now the problem is that currently you can also shoot backwards, and of course the bullets are not moving and stuff. But of course this video is getting too long, so I will see you in the next video, and we will finish this system in the next one. So yeah, I will see you in the next video, and also make sure to like and subscribe, and well, bye.